of elections. And when we talk about our economy, we all understand that we are living in a very, very competitive global economy. And if we are going to succeed in the future, we need the best educated workforce in the world. To my mind, it is beyond comprehension that in our country today, hundreds of thousands of bright, capable, qualified young people cannot get a higher education for one reason and one reason alone, and that is their families lack the income. That is wrong. That's got to change. It is not only wrong and unfair for those young people who want to make it into the middle class. It is absurd if we're worried about the future of our economy. We cannot afford to waste intellectual capital. And that is why I've introduced legislation and will make happen as president a process in which every public college and university in America will be tuition free. And we are also going to deal with a very serious crisis of student debt in America. Millions of individuals in this country, some young and some not so young, are being crushed by outrageously high student debt and extremely high interest rates on that debt. It makes no sense to me that people are paying 6, 8, 10% interest rates on student debt when you can refinance your home for 2, 3, 4%. Legislation will enable people to take advantage of low interest rates and refinance. And in addition to that, what we are going to do is get the United States government out of the business of profiteering in high interest rates for working class families. People say, Bernie, it's a good idea, but it's a pretty expensive proposition that you're talking about. And they're right. It's about $70 billion, and it's a lot of money. How are we going to pay for it? I'll tell you how we're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for it with a tax on Wall Street speculation. And Wall Street's greed nearly destroyed the American economy. The middle class of this country bailed them out. Now it is their turn to bail out and help the middle class. When we talk about our responsibilities as adults, as parents, as citizens, there is nothing that I can think that is more important and more basic than making sure that we leave this planet to our children and our grandchildren in a way that is habitable. The debate is over. The scientific community has spoken in a virtually unanimous voice. Climate change is real. It is caused by human activity. It is already causing enormous problems in America and around the world. What the scientists are also telling us is if we do not get our act together in the very near future, the bad situation of today will become much, much, much worse in years to come. And we're talking about more drought, more floods, more extreme weather disturbances, more acidification of the ocean, more rising sea levels. And the CIA tells us what is obviously true, that if peoples around the world do not have the water and the land they need to grow crops on, there's going to be more international conflict and war. In my view, we have a moral responsibility to work with China and Russia and India and other countries in leading the world in transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainability. Talk about the United States' position in the world, and I want all of you to know that we are the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all people as a right. The Affordable Care Act has helped millions of people, did not go far enough. I will do everything I can. I will do everything that I can to make sure that health care in America is a right, not a privilege. We need to move toward a Medicare for all, single payer. I am, as it happens, the ranking member, the leader of the Democratic opposition on the Budget Committee. So I know a little bit about what goes on in the budget process. All of you should know, and many of your Republican friends should know, that the Republican budget passed a few months ago throws 27 million Americans off of health insurance, makes $90 billion in cuts to the Pell Grant program, and massive cuts to Medicare and nutrition programs. And to add insult to injury, they provide over $250 billion in tax breaks to the top 0.2%. Those are not the priorities of the American people. That is not what the American people want. It is not what the American people need. So let me tell my Republican colleagues, no, we are not going to cut Social Security when millions of elderly people and disabled people are struggling with $12,000, $13,000 a year income. No, we're not going to cut Social Security. In fact, we're going to increase and expand Social Security benefits. And we're going to do that by lifting the cap on taxable income. And no, we are not going to cut veterans' programs. Their lives on the line to defend our country. They are going to get the best health care possible, and they are going to get all of the benefits they earned. When we talk about making America the kind of nation that we must become, we must talk about and fight for ending institutional racism and making major reforms to a very broken criminal justice system. The good news is, and it is very good news, and we should be very proud of ourselves as a country, that in the last number of decades, the United States of America has gone a very long way in fighting against discrimination in all forms. If we were sitting here 30 or 40 years ago, and somebody said, you know, I think in 2008, a black guy is going to be elected president of the United States, very few people would have thought that would have been possible. It happened because the American people all over this country were prepared to look at the ideas of a candidate, not the color of his skin. That is a huge step. And we have made progress in fighting sexism. We have made progress in fighting homophobia, and we should be proud of that. But, having said that, the bad news is, as I think everybody knows, that racism remains a much too real part of American society. And in that regard, I don't have to tell you that it is beyond words to keep seeing videos of where unarmed African Americans are being shot and killed when they are in police custody. That has got to end. Mayor for 8 years and worked very, very hard with the Burlington Police Department. And the truth is, as I think many of you know, anybody here thinks being a cop today is an easy job. That ain't the case. Police officers work under incredible stress. They have crazy hours. Often they are underpaid, and very often they don't get the training that they need. But, having said that, and with the absolute goal of improving training and pay for police officers all over this country, we have got to recognize that a police officer, like any other public official, must be held accountable if he or she breaks the law. There's a whole lot, I don't have enough time right now, but there's a whole lot to talk about in terms of not only fighting racism, but of reforming in very significant ways our criminal justice system. Let me just give you a few things that we have to do. I do not understand, again, as a former mayor, you look at a TV screen and you see a local police department that looks like an invading army with highly mechanized equipment. Police departments in America should be part of the community, not perceived as an invading army. We need police departments that reflect the diversity of the population in those communities. We must also begin to rethink the war on drugs. Too many lives have been destroyed for nonviolent crimes. Too many people are in jail for nonviolent crimes. And I find it remarkable that many young Americans have received a criminal record for smoking marijuana, but not one major Wall Street executive has a criminal record for smoking marijuana. We must also end the absurdity, and I will be introducing legislation shortly to do this, the absurdity of private corporations making profits off the incarceration of our fellow Americans. And we need to understand that drug abuse and alcohol abuse are diseases that must be treated. We need to have drug courts and medical and mental health intervention rather than just locking up more and more people. By the way, when we talk about bringing our country together, we need to understand there are 11 million undocumented people in this country, in my view. These people need legal protection today. We need comprehensive immigration reform tomorrow, and we need a path toward citizenship. You have been extraordinarily patient and kind in this hot junk, listening to me rant for a while. So all right, we'll go on for a few more hours. Let me conclude by asking you to think big, to have a mindset that is not conservative and say, well, that. I want you to think big. Because again, we're not some poor country. If we were a poor, developing country, this would be a different discussion. Somebody would jump up and say, well, you know, we're a poor country. We can't have health care for all people. We can't afford college for all people. We are not a poor country. We are the wealthiest country in the history of the world, a country whose priorities in many ways are backwards. And our job is to change those priorities. We can live in a country. This is not utopian. This goes on in most major countries around the world, where health care is a right, not a privilege. We can live in a country where when mom and dad go out to work, they know that their kids are in high-quality child care or a good pre-K program. Not utopian. It exists in other countries. We can be a country in which every American, young and not so young, can go to college and get the education they need regardless of the income of their family. We can live in a country where senior citizens can retire with dignity and security and not worry about how they're going to pay for their prescription drugs. We can live in a nation where every veteran who has put his or her life on the line to defend this country gets the health care and benefits. We can live in a nation where every person, no matter their race, their religion, their disability, or their sexual orientation, realizes the full promise of equality that is our birthright as Americans. That is the nation that I ask you to work with me to help build by becoming part of the political revolution. Thank you all very much.